This is the Glyn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo. Brought to you by Advanced Rehab, Urgent Med 1, Boyd's Transmissions, Golf Cart Wholesale, Alan David Tucker, and by Marshside Grill. And now here's your host, Glyn Academy Insider, Drayton Hogarth.
Welcome to the Glyn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. This is Drayton Hogarth on location at Marshside Grill, where we'll be each and every week on Sunday nights at 6:30 for the entire season. This segment of the Rocky Hidalgo Show is sponsored by Marshside Grill, Advanced Rehab, Urgent Med 1, Boyd's Transmissions, Golf Cart Wholesale, Alan David Tucker, and by ASP Pools. And now joining us, the head coach of the Glyn Academy Red Terrors, Rocky Hidalgo.
Thank you.
Coach Hidalgo, welcome to the show. Unfortunately, Red Terrors took their first loss of the season, 24-17 to the Camden County Wildcats 2 weeks ago. I'll say this, in the time I've gotten to know you, I don't feel like you're a moral victories fan, but I do want to tell you that that was two very good teams that played that night. And if you guys played 10 times, it would probably be a 5-5 record between the two teams.
Well, I appreciate it. I think our kids played really hard. I'd like to think we'd do better than 5-5, to be honest with you. And that was disappointing how that went a little bit, and kind of the way we lost the game. I think our kids I think we outplayed them for 48 minutes, and we made a couple of crucial errors there and had a couple of calls go against us. And all in all, we'll kind of move on from that, learn from that, and hopefully we'll do a better job on the kickoff team and win the next one.
Right. Well, talking about special teams, I guess we'll just start there. Camden had two long kickoff returns that kind of were big answers to when you guys took the lead, 95 and I believe 55-yard returns. Now that you've gone back and looked at the tape and the film, where did you see? Were there breakdowns, or what was the situation that happened?
Well, we had moved some kids off of the kickoff team because we had some guys who were kind of banged up here or there. But really, we had about 3 or 4 unblocked kids around the ball carrier who just didn't make the tackle. I mean, that's kind of unfortunate. Sometimes it's about personnel and getting the right guys on. Hopefully we addressed that. We spent some time working on it as coaching staff, and hopefully our coverage will be better in the future.
Right. Tell me this now, on the long kickoff return, it kind of bounced around a little bit. Why is it sometimes you see that happen? Do the kids kind of, or the coverage team, do they kind of think, oh, we might be able to get on the ball, and then kind of lose focus and get out of lanes? Or why do we usually see big returns on that sometimes?
Well, I think one thing, our August Bowers, our kicker, has done a great job kicking for us this year. I think he'd kicked 6 of 8 in the end zone, and sometimes your kickoff coverage team gets a little lackadaisical. They think every one of them's going to go in the end zone. Just something, there are times a kicker will just hit a ball, and you end up something like that. It was not something that we had planned to do, to squib it like that. Really, if you look at the tape, I think our left side did a fairly decent side of fitting on the job. We did the fitting on the ball. The right side didn't get over in their lanes like they should have. And we had switched some personnel out and probably didn't do as good a job as we should have done coaching those kids to get to the spots they needed to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you guys work on special teams in practice? Is it do you segment each day, or do you specify one day to work totally on special teams?
Well, we have some days on Mondays we work on punt and punt return. On Tuesdays we work kickoff return, extra point, field goal. Wednesdays and Thursdays we work all phases, including our block teams, and then our hands team and onside kick. So it's something that we work on every day. Different groups we allot a specific amount of time every day to work on those specified things.
Okay. This is the Glyn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, on the new state rules with contact, does that limit you guys on special teams any at all, or?
Well, a little bit, and I'll say this, is that you just can't get any live work done during the week simply because that live work is sort of you dedicate that time for your team, your live contact periods. So for pretty much everything we do in special teams is is control or thud, or control or on air. So it's one of those things. I'm not sure if it affects us one way or the other. It's just one of those things you have to adjust to in this day and age.
Right. All right, let's move on to the offense. The offense really showed a real strong big play ability, I thought, and held up well against a talented Camden defense. Can you talk about your offense a little bit?
Well, I think one thing is we're seeing improvement every week. Is Justin is getting more and more comfortable in the pocket. Feeling, he's becoming more decisive. He's throwing the ball on time. That's really exciting. And he made some really nice plays versus Camden. I think our backs ran the ball very, very well. Really, they were physical runners, and we blocked well up front. We missed some opportunities because of a penalty here or there, and we had a couple of negative plays that put us in a hole. But all in all, I felt like we played pretty well offensively. In a game against a team like Camden, you're not going to get a lot of opportunities to score simply because they're going to hold on to the football. And in a lot of ways, we're kind of saying we want to run the ball and control the game, the tempo of the game with our offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like looked like Justin Larson was really getting much more comfortable. Like you said, he's making better reads. What was the play where he hit Shakur on the long pass down to the 1 yard line?
That was peel play, and we that's something that was one of those things that Coach Hart made a great call, and Justin's done a good job of putting those balls on the line and completing those passes. See a lot of guys who overthrow those and they can't convert those, but we've had a lot of success converting them, and he's getting better and better at practice every day.
Mm-hmm. And Garrison Hurd as well had another really strong game, I thought. Showed great flexibility out of the backfield. He had an amazing one-handed leaping catch. Talk about his progress that you've seen him in your 2 years here as a running back and receiver.
Yeah, Garrison can do a lot of things. I mean, obviously he can run the football, but he's tough to handle out of the backfield as a receiver. He really goes up and gets the ball well. I think a lot of that is due to, he also plays baseball. He tracks the ball well. He knows how to go up and get it. He's a really good athlete. He really is. And one of those things is he just goes and gets it out there, and when the ball's up, he's competitive. And I think he just looks at that's his ball, and he's going to go and make it his.
Yeah, it's unique to have a player that tough of an inside runner, plus have really good hands as a receiver too.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Yeah. I thought DJ showed some good shiftiness and maneuverability in traffic. Speak to DJ's game Friday.
Yeah, they were doing some things, try to take DJ off the page. We missed him on a couple of plays early in the game, but for the most part, they were trying to limit our ability to get the football to him, which is why we really turned to the running game a bunch because of what they were doing. So we're looking at some different ways we can get the football to him. But DJ, he's one of the things that really makes him special. Obviously, he's a great athlete, but you see when Poppy goes and makes a big play, DJ's the first guy down there celebrating him. He blocks on the perimeter. Yeah. He's an exceptional blocker. So all those things roll into not just him catching the football and making great runs. It's all those things go together is why he's such a good player and so highly sought after.
All right. Thank you, Coach. More to come on the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
Marshside Grill is your home for the best burgers, spuds, and seafood around. Come enjoy the view out by the water while taking in an ice-cold beverage. Marshside Grill is your home for the Glynn Academy Red Terror Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo and a proud sponsor of Glynn Academy and local high school athletics. So stop in any day or night of the week for the best view and atmosphere here in the Golden Isles. And also, check us out on Facebook. Go Terrors! That back won't stop aching or that knee won't stop throbbing? Your answer is Advanced Rehabilitation and their staff of professionals. Locations in Brunswick and on St. Simons for your convenience. Go to the place that is trusted by student athletes all over the Golden Isles as well as professional athletes. Advanced Rehabilitation specializes in neuro and orthopedics and will have you back in the game in no time. Find a clinic near you, physicaltherapygeorgia.com. Tired of waiting hours to get in and out of the ER or can't get in to see your doctor? The wait is over. Urgent Med 1 is a fully functioning urgent care clinic with highly trained professionals on-site x-ray and labs that will get you in, out, and on with life. Open weekdays 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and weekends 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or sign in online with ZipPass. Located off exit 36B on Highway 341, look for that MASH Jeep with the big red cross out front, ERGENT Med 1. Drive a few minutes and save a few hours.
Welcome back to the Glyn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. This is Drayton Hogarth on location from Marshside Grill. This segment is brought to you by Marshside Grill, Urgent Med 1, Advanced Rehab, and Golf Cart Wholesale. Coach, tell us a little bit. You mentioned your offensive line earlier. Camden has looks like they just basically replicate defensive linemen down there. They've got a bunch of guys with just long frame guys. Kind of tell us how your offensive line specifically did down there.
Yeah, I thought we played really well up front. Obviously, I think Frank Farrell and Kyle Larson, those guys are staples for us on the offensive line. Unfortunately, they're going to graduate after this year. Mm-hmm. But they did a great job up front. Kyle did a couple of times on the counter. Man, he just pulled across and crushed the guy. Zalante continues to get better and better. He's a guy that just hadn't played a lot of football, and you see it in him sometimes. Gave up a big sack at the end of the game, that's one of the things. He's very self-conscious about what he does. It's important to him. You can see how he reacted out there. He'll continue to get better. Tommy Craig, who's really, this is his first year playing center, his snaps have become more consistent. And, Amari Cross has come in and played some good football for us at guard. He's a young kid. He's going to be back next year. He's a big physical kid, really good athlete. So I like where we're going with the offensive line. I think we're still trying to figure out which five are going to be the guys. That's the first thing. The other thing is getting them all, the chemistry, working with the chemistry in and getting them all on the same page for each other. It continues to be a process, but I think we're real close up there.
Yeah. Makes you feel good as a coach to see Zalante really does care. You can see the emotion that he has if he does make a mistake or something like that.
He does. It's important to him. He picked up his first offer from Central Michigan last week. It's exciting to see something like that happen for a kid. He's a great kid. He works very hard, and before it's all said and done, I think he'll leave here. He'll be one of the best in the country at his position. I really do.
Yeah. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, your defense, I thought, played really strong, especially against a tough, not only physical team, but a mentally challenging team offense to have to go against. Tell us, I know you love your linebacker play. Tell us how you felt they did.
Well, we played. We usually base out of a 3-4, but this week we put 4 down and actually pulled a linebacker out. We felt that was our best fit. It's really hard when you go against a program like Camden because their kids have all been running the same offense since they were 6 years old, since first grade. So they know that offense inside and out. Their execution of it is really, really good. So in 3 days, you're not going to become better at defending it than they are at running it. It's impossible. So you have to pick and choose your spots. I think our kids did a great job just kind of hanging in there and creating some negative plays in there. Our coaches did a nice job putting them in situations to go out there and get off the field. Our kids played really, really tough because their offensive line's really good, and they've got 3 really good backs. And they do a great job. Like I said, they execute their offense incredibly well, and all in all, I think our kids did a great job. Really, our kids held them. We held them to 10 offensive points, with the exception of the 2, the touchdown, the long return. So you can't ask for more than that. Our defense played well enough to win.
Right. Your defensive line held up as well, and also having to face those cut blocks, a lot of those all night long.
They did. I think, Dexter was banged up. His knee was kind of bothering him. He didn't practice all week. That probably affected his play. That would have been good to have him healthy out there. But all in all, our kids did a good job. They hung in there. We have tough kids. They care about what we're doing. Winning is important to them, so you're going to see them go out and play their tails off on Fridays.
Right. You were listening to the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Now, your secondary, I know you've talked about a little bit of inexperience there, but this seemed like a real good learning experience for them in this game, having to focus on an opponent running the ball so much and having to come up and make tackles. Plus, still having to be cognizant of trying to hit deep, on any deep passes. How do you feel like your secondary progressed?
They did really well. I think, one of the things they do with the wing tee, they kind of lull you to sleep with the motion, and they just kind of pound it in there, and before you know it, they're throwing play action pass and trying to get behind you. Our kids did a really nice job, much better than we did last year of that. We really hung in there. We read our keys. We fit on the ball very well, with the exception of one play. We had one play where they gave us a formation that we hadn't seen, and that caused us some problems. It was a big play to start the second half out there. Once we got aligned to that, our kids did fine, and we're able to get the Camden's offense off the field.
Right. Well, moving on, this past week, you guys had a bye this past week. How did you guys utilize that to your advantage?
Well, I'm a big believer in rest and the importance of rest. So I know there are a lot of guys that practice 4 days during the off week, and they use that to really go out and prep for the next opponent. And we don't do that. I give our kids some time off. We have basically 2 full practices, a special teams practice. So we practice Tuesdays and Thursdays, good, nice, hard practice. Wednesday's a big special teams practice. And then we give them some time off, and we rest. We really focus on us. A lot of ones-on-ones. We go against each other for the tempo of it. But I want them to recover, want them to get some time away and come back hungry on Monday and get ready to beat Coffee County. I think Coffee is very similar in a lot of ways. Their mentality is Camden County. They want to have a big, powerful running game out of the wing tee. They're going to line up with 2 tight ends and 4-man surfaces and try to cram that ball down your throat and be physical. They have a big offensive line. They have some really good backs. Everybody's heard of B.D. Davis. He's an explosive runner that we're going to have to do a great job kind of hemming him up back there. But in a lot of ways, they're very similar to Camden, I think, in their execution and their personnel. So their quarterback might throw the ball a little better. They do a few more things that look like kind of spread tendencies, where they'll get 4 wide and throw some 3-step games, some quick game out there. And they have some good players that they're pitching it out there too.
Coffee coach Robbie Pruitt, what type of offense are they running? Or was it similar to the wing tee like Camden? Or
yeah, it's very similar to Camden's wing tee. They run a few more pro style implements where they'll get out and they probably throw the ball twice as much as Camden, maybe 3 times. They'll put it up in the air a little bit, and they do a good job with it. They have good athletes on the perimeter.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Need an attorney who specializes in personal injury and criminal law? Alan David Tucker. He fights for the rights of the injured and accused. Located next to the waterfront at 9 St. Andrews Court. Since 1982, Alan David Tucker has been practicing law in the Golden Isles and helped thousands of people just like you solve their legal problems. Give Alan David Tucker a call. Proud supporter of Glynn Academy Athletics, 912-267-7123, and let's go Terrors. Looking to make your life more fun? Then check out GCW Karts. With top-of-the-line karts like Easy Go, Bad Boy, and Cushman, you can cruise the island or just around the neighborhood in style. Need to rent a kart? GCW Rental rents karts for long or short-term use, and they make it easy by delivering your kart to you and picking it up when you're finished. So remember, for brands like Easy Go, Bad Boy, and Cushman, visit GCW Karts in Brunswick at the corner of Cypress Mill Road and the Spur, or call 912-434-4601. You've walked your last mile. Boyd's Transmissions will get you riding with a smile. Boyd's Transmissions is your hometown stop for any and all transmission work and much more. Boyd's Transmission has been locally owned and operated for over 30 years right here in Glynn County. Come check us out at 3123 Norwich, right across from the National Guard Armory, 912-264-6768, or find us on Facebook and go Terrors. It's hot and keeping your pool running is essential right now. ASP is your hometown pool care and maintenance neighbors. Marcus and the professionals at ASP will have your pool looking and running like a dream to help you beat the heat. 912-230-5777 or online at www.stsimonsgapoolservice.com or find ASP on Facebook. ASP is a proud supporter of Glynn Academy Athletics. Let's go Terrors!
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Red Terror Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. This is Drayton Hogarth on location at Marshside Grill. This segment is brought to you by Boyd's Transmissions. ASP Pools, and by Alan David Tucker. Coach, we mentioned Coffee County Trojans coming in this week under Coach Robbie Pruitt. Looks like they're getting some good production from Demetrius Davis. He's averaging over 100 yards a game, 2 touchdowns per game. Talk a little bit about his production and his style of play.
They don't call him meaty for nothing. He's really good. He's lightning quick. He can run away from just about anybody on the field. For a little guy, he breaks a lot of tackles. He's really dynamic with the football in his hands. All you got to do is watch him and see that. He's explosive. He can take it. He can score at any point in time. You got to do a great job of really hemming him up and fitting on the football. If you make a mistake, he can make you pay for it.
Similar, like a Wart Dunn type?
Yeah, very similar. That's what I would, somebody like that. He's pretty shifty.
Right. Now, are there at 5'9", roughly 167, is there any advantages like the TV broadcasters say of hiding or getting lost in the pile kind of situation?
Maybe. I don't know. If he gets behind those giant offensive linemen that they have, there's a chance. I mean, he doesn't have to get lost. He can lose himself. He's fast enough.
Right. Now, usually when you talk about Coffee County, you mentioned the offensive linemen. They got some country strong type kids over there. Is that the case this year as well?
Yeah, they've got some really big, some Coke boxes, as they say. They look like vending machines, a couple of them. They're very good on the offensive line. They come off the ball really well. It's one of those things. We're going to have to, anchor down and play tough up front. I mean, every week in this region, you're facing a pretty good team that's well coached, and this is just another one. They got a lot of talent on the offensive line, and their kids do a great job of executing their offense. We're going to have to get after them a little bit.
Right. How about on the defensive side of the ball with Coffee? What do they typically run as a defense?
They're a 4-3 team. They're defensive linemen. They have some defensive linemen that are again just like their offensive line guys. I mean, they've got a lot of size. They move around back there really well. I think their secondary does a great job coming downhill and tackling. They're very physical in the back seven. And so we're going to have to pick and choose our spots. It's going to have to be. We're going to have to play a great game on the offensive line. They're not real flashy necessarily what they do. They're not a team that's they're not blitzing 5 and 6 guys and stunt the defensive line all over the place. But they're fundamentally sound. Their kids play really hard. They fit on the ball really well and they tackle.
Right. Yeah, they are. Like I said, their first loss last week. Previously had played North Oconee and Savannah High and won those fairly convincingly. Any standouts on either side of the ball other than the Davis team?
Yeah, they're tight end. He also plays defensive end. He's one of the best players I've seen. I mean, he is a really, really good player. Very physical blocker at tight end, and when they put him over at defensive end, he can get after the quarterback. Mm-hmm. They've got 2 or 3 guys that can really run the football over there, and they've got some guys with their hand on the ground on the defensive line that are just really. I mean, they take up a lot of space. They move really well, and so it's hard to look over there and go, this guy. Obviously, B.D. Davis is really good. I think 85, the tight end, is an exceptional player.
Right. This is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Given that you had a bye week this past week, what did you get to? Did you get to go anywhere with your family, or did you hang out, or what did you get to do?
I spent some time with the construction of the new weight room over here. I spent some time and visited some schools to look at their facilities and their equipment. We're in the process of getting bids for weight room equipment, so I went down to Camden and checked out their equipment on Tuesday and had a chance to go visit Coach McWhorter over at Charlton County and Wayne County and a couple of fitness facilities along the coast that have a different type of different brands from different makers. So I did that, and then spent some time with family. Had sat on the beach a little bit yesterday, tried to avoid the rain, and it was mostly successful, about 3 hours. But finally, Mother Nature caught up with me.
Oh, yeah.
And then watched a little college football. I mean, it's good to have college football back on Saturdays. Saturdays are our off day. We try to spend some time with our family and catch up on our college football.
Right. So I take it you got to see your LSU Tigers last night?
I did. I sat down, and it was a late game, honestly.
Yeah.
I had to drink some coffee to stay up during it. I guess I'm getting older now, and I used to stay up all night long. Now about 9:30, my eyes start closing. I think they're working me too hard. I need to get some extra hours in the day. But I did watch LSU's game last night. I thought, obviously, happy they won. Thought they did some good things. And like everybody else, got some stuff to work on.
Yeah. What about Fournette? Unlimited potential for him?
I would love to coach him. That's all I'd say. He's a very, very good player. And it's interesting to see in the SEC. And obviously, every year there's a lot of talent, but they've got some exceptional running backs in the SEC right now. I mean, with the kid at Georgia, and then you got Henry at Alabama, and then Leonard Fournette, the kid who's over at Tennessee, is a really good player. I mean, Arkansas has good players at running back, and but they've got 3 or 4 really special tailbacks in the SEC right now. It's like the days of the early '80s when you had Herschel Walker, and then you had Bo Jackson come through. They've got special talent at tailback right now in the Southeast Conference.
Right. All right. It seems like Les Miles likes to run a pro-style offense, but he seems to bring in a lot of dual-threat quarterbacks. Now, bringing it back to you as a coach, do you like to bring when you as a coach, do you like to install your own system, or do you like to see what you have as players and then work around the strengths of the players?
Well, high schools and colleges are very different. So I am dealt a set of cards, and then I have to make a hand with it. And as they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes. And it is both. It's never about plays. It's about players and coaching. If you have good players and you have good coaching, it doesn't matter what plays you run. If people scream, run the ball, throw the ball, none of that matters. If you really have good players, then it'll all come out the wash if you coach them really well. I'm a big believer in you should look at your players and utilize the kids that you have. I believe if you've got a kid that's got 25 offers, he's 6'5" and can throw it 70 yards, then you ought to look at throwing the football some with him. Likewise, if you've got a big time tailback, you feed him the rock and you live and die with him because he's the best player on the field. So that's my belief when it comes to players. When it comes to colleges, I do believe that a lot of times colleges get hung up, just like the NFL, get hung up on numbers and this, look how athletic this kid is and does this. But there's a lot of kids who are out there, especially at the quarterback position, the hardest position to recruit. And I think a lot of colleges do a disservice to high school coaches. They just assume that they can go out and take a kid who's a great athlete who can throw it and turn him into a quarterback. And that's not the case. There are a lot of great high school coaches who are coaching the heck out of their quarterbacks. And some guys are athletes, they're not quarterbacks. Some guys are really good quarterbacks. I think you see it a lot of times in major college football that guys will recruit at quarterbacks who are spread quarterbacks who are used to kind of just distributing the ball and try to stick them in a pro-style offense, which is very different, where you're reading first, second, third progressions. You're in the pocket, deep in the pocket, 3- and 5-step drops, and kids struggle at that. So if I were a major college football coach, I would be recruiting kids to fit my system, not kids that I just felt like I could that I'm such a good coach. Sometimes I think hubris gets those guys. I'm such a good coach, I can coach that kid to fit my system. And sometimes you just can't catch up enough with him. It takes a long time to do that sometimes, 2 or 3 years.
Right. All right, Coach, good luck this Friday against Coffee County. Hopefully the Red Terrors will come out get another victory in the region. Thank you for joining us for the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come out to Marshside Grill and join us every Sunday night at 6:30 for the Rocky Hidalgo Show. This is Drayton Hogarth signing off.